Hi, my name is Justin Keogh from Bond University on the Gold Coast in Australia. I'm talking today about our research project titled Can the Nintendo Wii Sports game system be effectively utilised in the nursing home environment? First off, I'd like to thank my co-authors from Auckland University of Technology, my former university, Nikki Power, Leslie Wooler, Patricia Lucas and Chris Whatman for their involvement in this project, and for Jean Loeb for becoming the editor of this special edition. This paper was published in the 2012 first issue of the Journal of Community Informatics. The rationale for this study was basically to look at options for people in nursing homes, rest homes, residential care, whatever the term is in different countries, to improve their levels of physical activity, physical mobility and socialisation. This group of older adults is particularly potentially challenged in that they lose some degree of independence, have less mobility than community dwelling elders, and therefore may require some assistance in becoming more physically active and independent. We know that exercise for older adults is beneficial, is relatively low risk, and therefore is something that we need to encourage people of this age to consider taking up and becoming more active. However, the frailer groups, such as those in nursing homes, have had much less research conducted on them than those who are still living in the community. So one thing that we thought was, could the Nintendo Wii Sports game system, an EXA game, be a potential option to increase physical function, physical activity, and a range of psychosocial factors in older adults living in a rest home? So in terms of this study, we were able to recruit 11 participants who were aged 80 plus or minus 6 years from one nursing home in Auckland in New Zealand, and these participants agreed to a 5-week intervention program where they would learn and play to use the Nintendo Wii Sports game system. The system allowed them to play 5 games. They were baseball, bowling, golf, tennis or boxing, and we allowed the individuals to play these games as much or as little as they wanted over the course of any day across this 5-week intervention, in that we thought this would be more like how it would actually be used in real life rather than prescribing a set number of sessions and duration per session, as is more typical in exercise science studies. These individuals were assessed pre and post the 5-week intervention on measures of dynamic stability, quality of life and falls efficacy, and there were also comments taken from the participants and the staff regarding their thoughts on the system and so on. Unfortunately, at the end of the trial, we saw no change in dynamic balance, no significant change assessed by the 4-square step test. We saw no significant change in the SF36 physical or mental subscales, although there was a moderate effect size increase for the physical domain of the SF36. And we saw no significant change in the modified falls efficacy scale either. The participants averaged between 18 to 30 minutes per person per week in the activity, and golf was the most popular activity of all the 5 games. Compared to those quantitative results, the qualitative results that came out of the discussions with the residents and the staff suggested 3 main themes for the residents. Initially, there was some fear of a new experience and potentially looking foolish in front of their peers and the staff when trying to play the game. However, this soon changed, and as they became more proficient and confident, that confidence transferred to other aspects of their life, and they became increasingly social with each other and with the staff. And the times that they would play Nintendo Wii became quite a focal point of their day. So many of the residents would come together at the same time of day, and that would be something that they would look forward to every day. Some of the themes that came through with the staff, there were 2 main themes. One was initial reservation, somewhat similar to the residents, in terms of how the residents would cope with the system. Would it be feasible? Would there be any problems? That sort of thing. But over time, the staff realised that it was relatively easy to incorporate as long as there was sufficient space for the Wii system and a television screen of sufficient size, and that there was initially a staff or someone else who'd be able to teach the other residents how to play the actual games. But once that was achieved, they felt it was quite feasible and offered a range of benefits, particularly in terms of things like socialisation for some of the residents who become a little bit more withdrawn. So ultimately the results of this study add to an emerging literature on some of the benefits of exergaming, such as Nintendo Wii, for a range of older adult groups. Our results possibly suggest that unless the duration and intensity of the games, in that most of our residents in this nursing home played the game seated, that things such as improving balance and improving falls efficacy is unlikely to change obviously in a seated exercise. So it would be required to do it standing, and some case studies have showed increases in balance with the Nintendo Wii. We also might suggest that we need to have potentially a greater amount of game time to see some of these physical effects, but that the socialisation, the psychosocial benefits do appear quite strong, in that it does give the residents something to look forward to and creates a sense of community within these residents who, for some, who may not have really had a sense of community prior to it. So there would appear to be some benefits in the Nintendo Wii system. Further research is definitely required to look at both the physical and psychosocial benefits. We've conducted a follow-up study which we're looking at submitting for publication soon, where we had a randomised control trial cluster design, and in here we do demonstrate some significant physical benefits as well. So while the jury is still a little bit out, it would appear that exergames such as the Nintendo Wii do offer some promise for older adults, including those in residential care such as nursing homes, but further research needs to be done. But for those in practice, there is definitely nothing to lose from investing in a Nintendo Wii Sports system or similar packages. They're quite inexpensive, and even if the physical benefits aren't too large, the psychosocial benefits do appear quite strong, and also using the system may act as a primer for some individuals to become more physically active in more evidenced forms of physical activity, such as walking, resistance training, balance training, Tai Chi, or so on. So thank you very much for the time. Hope you enjoy the conference, and signing out from now. Thanks. Bye.